5 tips for writing for the web. So one thing that's important to know about the web is that people behave very differently online than they do offline. So let's imagine you're reading a book. If you're in the Western world, you're going to open that book and you're going to read the words left to right on the page, top to bottom, right? So people read offline very differently how they read online. Online, people are more likely to skim, scan, and scroll web pages that they land upon, right? So we don't read them from top to bottom like we might a newspaper or an article or a letter we might receive offline. Online, people behave and read very differently. And that's important because if you're writing for the web, then you want to write for the scanners and the scrollers, right? That's how people are behaving. We'll get to exactly how to do that in a moment, but I want to share with you something that was said by Jacob Nielsen, and he's the founder of a research group called Nielsen Group, published some amazing white papers on, how people read online. And he said 79% of our test users always scanned any new page they came across. Only 16% read word by word. So almost 80% of people are scanning and scrolling your copy. So we need to write and format our copy in such a way that's going to grab their attention, stop them from scanning and scrolling, and actually read the words. But we're also going to have to communicate on the page in a way that's going to say everything we need to say in almost less words than we might write offline. I want you to take a look at this heat map. If you're unfamiliar, a heat map is eye tracking software that tracks where they predict people are looking at web pages. And this example here shows in the red and orange areas of this page, different colors. And the red indicates where most of the attention, most of the eye movement is going. And as you can see, people are darting and scanning all over the page. They're not reading it left to right or top to bottom. So you need to remember that when you're writing web copy. I also want to show you another example. This is a readability chart, and it's showing 2 examples. This is the same information in the top paragraph as the bottom paragraph. So that top paragraph had a 27% readability, meaning when you present a paragraph, a chunk of information, on average 27% are going to read that, right? But when we converted that same information into a bulleted list, as you can see here, readability increased by almost 100%. So that just goes to show a bulleted list of conveying your web copy online is going to increase readability and therefore increase your conversion rate, your sales, so much more than just having a big chunk of text, which again, the scanners and the scrollers are probably just going to scroll past. Put it in that bulleted list, more people are going to read it. So that's just one of the tips for writing web copy. There's actually 5 tips. So the first tip I would give you is you want to highlight or bold important information. That important information might be benefits, there might be results you're promising in the copy, or there might be even some of the problems that you help the target market overcome. So we want to highlight and bold important information. We also want to have bulleted lists, as I've explained. Meaningful subheadings, okay? Subheadings are kind of what you see as headings between paragraphs. They help break up the page and they increase conversion and readability. Also, we want to have short paragraphs. Short paragraphs are far more effective, again, with getting people to read your copy and get involved in your copy. And also we want to have short, punchy sentences. We don't want to have rambling or long-winded sentences that aren't going to convey our information very effectively. So, what I want to show you now that we've covered those 5 tips for writing for the web and why writing for the scanners and the scrollers is so important, I now want to show you just an example of how this all comes together and what an effective page that utilizes these 5 rules looks like. Okay, so now we're at one of my clients' websites, and this client is a stylist, and what I'm about to point out to you is how we used the 5 tips for writing for the web in a real example. Now, I understand that it's very difficult to find an example that is going to appeal and relate to everyone who watches this video, because everyone has different kinds of businesses or services they offer, so not everyone is going to relate to the example that I'm about to show you. So what I do encourage you is to look for examples that do relate to you, and one way to do that is to Google what I've just Googled here, which is landing page examples. And you're going to find tons of different examples that hopefully do follow the 5 tips that I've already outlined in the video. And you might be able to find one for your specific industry. But regardless, these tips should relate to every industry and business. So let's go through. So they've got a great headline and some hero imagery, which is good. The image here supports the headline. It's related. What you'll notice here is this is what we call a meaningful subhead. What are you silently communicating? So the goal is, remember, people are scanning and scrolling, then they scroll down here past the above the fold area, which we've talked about in some of these videos. So you scroll down here, this subheading is going to get their attention and get them to start reading. So that's a meaningful subhead. And you'll see the subheads are throughout the page. Sometimes you use questions like, is your image sabotaging your success? Because you know that's going to speak to the target audience and get them interested in reading more. And some of these subheadings are, about a benefit, like making a great first impression. So they're the meaningful subheads we talked about. Bulleted lists. So these are, I wouldn't say bulleted lists here, but similar to bulleted lists, where we have those short paragraphs and short sentences. Remember, we're trying to appeal to 80% of the readers who are scanners and scrollers. And to do that, we have what you see here, which are short paragraphs and also short sentences, again, to draw people into the copy. You'll notice that we've bolded some of the words. We've given mini headings to some of these. These are all benefits of taking up the client service of image styling, and we've bolded those important words there as well. Moving down here, we've got some visual elements that, again, conveying that copy and that message visually, which is, again, going to stop people from scanning and scrolling and get them to start reading. Again, some more bullets here, some more meaningful subheads. And the reason for these meaningful subheads is because it breaks up the page and the copy too. So we usually have one subheading per section, as you can see here. And we also change the background colors as well, just to increase the design value of the page, but also the novelty. So as people scroll, they're not sure what's going to happen next, what color they're going to see, and it just livens up the page as well. Got some great testimonials here. Again, short, sharp, to the point, and focusing on benefits, which we talk about in the testimonials video. Another great subheading here, some more bolded, we've bolded the benefits, which is save money, save time, become more attractive. It's all the reasons why they might want to decide to sign up for this client service. Again, numbers, short paragraphs, short sentences, bolded. We've got the subheading here as well. So as you can see, this page really does follow a lot of the examples that we talk about in this class as well. So that is the 5 tips for writing for the web in action. I do encourage you to start noticing online as you browse the web for what pages do follow these tips and what pages don't.